When Nintendo fully revealed the Switch 2, they also talked about how some games, some physical games, are going to ship without the actual games on the cards. They gave this a cute little name, Game Key cards, and I did the whole entire video talking about that. Basically how this was something that happened on the original Switch because those little cards are proprietary. They cost money to manufacture. So some companies were like, we don't want to cut into our profit. We would rather just have the card have some of the game on it or none of the game on it, and it just brings a person to the eShop or whatever to just a prompt to download the rest of the game. And of course, that stinks. It means that you basically have to have internet access to play a physical game, which is kind of silly, defeats the purpose. And of course, if these servers ever go down later, then there you go. Your physical game, it just doesn't work anymore. You just don't get to have your game anymore. And so it was already a thing on the Switch, and then Nintendo talking about it on the Switch too. It was worrisome, as I said in my video, just the simple fact that they were willing to give it a name and point it out purposefully. It wasn't a very good sign. It kind of suggested that this was probably going to be more of a thing this generation, and which I guess I get these little proprietary cartridges. They're still a thing, and of course with this new generation, bigger games, better graphics, and all that stuff, games are naturally just gonna be bigger than they were before. So yeah, it was clear that it was going to be more of a thing, but we didn't really know how much of a thing it was going to be. It was better to just just wait and see. This isn't like some people who read the headline and go like, oh, all Switch 2 games are not even going to be on the card. Even Nintendo's games aren't going to be on the card. None of that ended up being true. You don't want to jump the gun. Is it going to be a problem? I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Well, unfortunately, it seems that, it was going to be a problem. It really was. So far, it seems that, most, if not all, Nintendo games are on the card. I mean, especially in the case of Nintendo. Why wouldn't they be? They're gonna manufacture the card anyway. It's non-negotiable. It's their own platform. They're not taking as much of a hit for selling it, and they are so good at optimizing their games that their games just aren't even that big, so they don't even need that big of a card. So on the Nintendo side, things are okay. But it seems that when it comes to third parties, it's a bit of a thing. It seems that in Japan, nearly all third-party games are Game Key cards, many of which have been confirmed to essentially just be a code in a box. Because that's the thing about a Game Key card. It's kind of like any amount of the game can be on the card. It can just be a key that just points to a full download, or maybe they can fill up as much of the card as they want and then have you download the rest. It could save you a little time there if they want to. But yeah, in plenty of cases, it seems that there are just codes in boxes. And yeah, essentially all third-party games in Japan, except for Cyberpunk 2077, because that's just their thing now. They did the same thing with Witcher 3. They just miraculously got the whole thing on the Switch cartridge. So now, I don't know, it's this thing they want to do. It's this flex. They want to be like the only company that can put their entire game on the card, and awesome, more power to them. But yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 is essentially the only one, and that's in Japan. It's not that much better here in the West. It seems there are many games that have already been confirmed to be Game Key cards or are suspected to be Game Key cards. There are some games that are Game Key cards in Japan, but not here. I don't really know why there would be a big difference. I don't know why it would differ from region to region, but for some reason it does. And for some reason this seems to be worse in Japan. It's not that much better here, but it's much worse in Japan. Yeah, basically, a lot of third parties are confirming that, yep, they're going for this whole game. I mean, it's almost like Nintendo just like, it's almost like they gave permission. You know what I mean? It was always a thing they could technically do before. But I don't know. I think Nintendo probably recognized that, okay, yeah, we are still doing the proprietary cartridge thing. We are, you know, we had a really successful generation. We're going into another successful generation, ideally, and we have a lot of third parties, and we want there to be a lot of great ports on our system. But this has been a problem. It just has been. Third parties don't like that they're eating up a chunk of their profits because of these cards, and they don't want to have to raise the prices of their games so that it's more expensive on Switch than any other platform. That's ridiculous. You want parity. And so I guess this really was just them just kind of more or less giving permission. Like, hey, look, we get it. The games are bigger. Yeah, a lot of you are probably just going to want to not put the game on the cartridge at all. I really don't know. I don't know all the process behind all this, but they're doing it. They're doing it. They really are. It really does, at least at the moment, seem to be like, yeah, it is going to be a thing. It is going to be a bit of a problem for physical collectors. And, you know, as always, I will say it doesn't affect me too much. I'm not a physical collector. I don't like having things on my shelf. And I completely admit that, like, it is foolish to just completely dive into the whole digital thing and, oh, I don't even own any of my games. Someday access to these games may be taken away. I know. Yeah, I know. And you know, it's not good. An all digital future is not a good thing. You know, it's a big problem for game preservation and all this stuff. And just because it hasn't been a big problem yet, that doesn't mean there won't be a problem later. I completely admit that. It is foolish, but I don't know. I guess I put a bigger value on just the ease and just simplicity of playing the games now. I don't know. I just want to play the games. So it's not a big problem for me, but I know that a lot of people are physical collectors. There are plenty of people who are like, no, I won't buy anything digital because of all those reasons, because I don't know what's going to happen. So it is a shame. It really is a shame to see that it's turning out pretty much as bad as we could have expected. And sure, this is the beginning. This is technically just like launch games, launch window games. Things could change, but like, I don't know, like things like this don't tend to get better. You know what I mean? Not to be too doom and gloom about it, but like if it's already this bad now, like there's just, the games are still gonna sell. There aren't enough people who will just simply not buy them because of this. 99.9% of the time, people are just gonna, they're just gonna buy them. I mean, even Sega. Even Sega has already announced that pretty much all their Switch 2 games, at least now, are Game Key cards. You know, they announced Sonic X Shadow Generations as a launch title, which is actually pretty cool, but it's a Game Key card. Even that one. You know, it's funny, I didn't consider this, but Daniel Ahmad points out. I think Daniel Ahmad is just an analyst. I don't know. I just know him as a guy whose tweets like show up. He's got good stuff to say, and he mentions that like, yeah, with all of this this is a lot of like extra necessity for downloading. You know, whereas like before you could imagine that a pretty good proportion of people buying games or buying physical games, they can just pop into their system and start playing. But now, if like so many of the games, if not like most of the games, are going to require a meaty download, possibly like the entire game, it does stand to reason that there's going to be a lot more strain on the eShop servers on launch day. You know what I mean? It means that now we're going to have a lot more people needing to download a lot more data when the Switch 2 launches. And yeah, I wonder if that is going to have an extra strain on the eShop or if it won't matter at all, but it's a pretty interesting thing to point out. That's true. Anyone playing Mario Kart is fine, but like just about every other case, right? Like just about every other game that launches on June 5th. Essentially everyone is going to be downloading, at least in part. That's interesting.